Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, the government once again considering halting Haitian apprehension and repatriation. Proposed changes to the Prisons Act aren't welcomed by some workers. 3 more are charged in connection with a road traffic scam, plus a new multi-million-dollar CT scanner to improve health care for Bahamians. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Paige Ferguson, and NB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to NB12. The Bahamas is looking at letting Haitians living in the Bahamas illegally to stay put for a while after the United Nations yesterday declared that Haiti has still not recovered from the massive earthquake in Port-au-Prince 18 months ago. In this report, Nikita DeVoe tells us about this developing immigration situation.
Officials at the Ministry of National Security and the Department of Immigration are considering suspending repatriation and apprehension of Haitian nationals. Our news team understands that officials were discussing this issue up to this afternoon. This comes in light of the United Nations mission to stabilize Haiti's request that countries like the Bahamas, Jamaica, and the United States accommodate Haitian immigrants. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Immigration Brent Simonet, who is in Montego Bay, Jamaica on government business, told us over the phone this afternoon that the Bahamas has always recognized that from time to time, situations in Haiti prohibit repatriations of Haitians. Simonet cited the example when the government ordered the release of illegal Haitian immigrants detained at the Carmichael Road Detention Center and suspended repatriations after last year's earthquake.
We will continue to respect the conditions in Haiti so that we make sure that any repatriations are humane and within the Christian principles that we abide by. So we will monitor the situation in Haiti, and until such time as it is necessary to cease and or restart repatriations, we'll do so in accordance with principles that we've always adhered to.
Simonet said there are currently approximately 40 illegal immigrants in the Carmichael Road Detention Center. According to Director of Immigration Jack Thompson, about 12 of them are Haitians.
I'm not aware of any scheduled repatriations at the moment because we have actually the numbers don't warrant it at the detention center unless an apprehension happened since I left the country this morning. So therefore, there's no need for us to have any repatriation exercises, certainly in the next couple of days.
UN High Commissioner for Refugees Antonio Guterres and UN Human Rights Chief Navi Pillay are also requesting that governments renew residence permits or anything that has allowed Haitians to remain outside their country. Simonet says it is too soon to speak on that issue, but he did say there could also be a hold on apprehensions.
Well, obviously, as you're well aware, the detention center can only house a certain number of persons. If the situation in Haiti does not warrant repatriation, we can only house 100 persons at any given time. So we'll be guided by that issue.
We were unable to get a response from Haitian Ambassador Antonio Rodrigue or Haitian pastors up to airtime. Reporting for NB12, I'm Nikita DeVoe.
Well, the antiquated Prisons Act of 1943 is said to be replaced by a modern version of the legislation which will address various corrections issues ranging from prison administration, a prison review board, and standards of conduct and conditions of service for uniformed corrections officers. But, as Christina McNeil tells us in this next report, some of the proposed changes are not sitting well with the workers most affected by them.
Legislation of the proposed 2011 Department of Corrections bill poses a number of changes for both the inmates and prison officers. However, a closer look at the legislation reveals that prison officers will be subject to stricter standards regarding their conditions of service. According to the proposed changes, corrections officers will be appointed for 1 year and may be reappointed for a successive period of 5 years, either until the completion of 30 years of service or until the age of 50, whichever occurs first. The new legislation would allow for officers to be re-engaged at the department after 30 years of service or the age of 50, but only from a year-to-year period not exceeding a total of 10 years. Those officers would also be assessed in terms of physical fitness and upon the recommendation of the Commissioner of Corrections. In order to be considered for re-engagement, an officer is required to apply to the Commissioner no less than 3 months before he or she is set to retire. The draft corrections bill also calls for the continuous training of corrections officers. According to the proposed changes, corrections officers shall undergo training during their probation and throughout their service as corrections officers, as ordered by the Commissioner. The legislation also calls for the establishment of a Department of Corrections Review Board, which, among other things, will be responsible for reviewing inmates, prison staff, administration, and policy. Members of the Prison Staff Association have expressed their opposition to the proposals as they currently stand, and Minister of National Security Tommy Turnquest recently acknowledged the officers' opposition to some of the changes. Turnquest says there are certain changes that must be made to the Department of Corrections.
Let me just say this to prison officers, that they can't have their cake and eat it too. That if they want to be considered in the same light as police officers and defense force officers, these are some of the things that go along with it. They can't pick the best from what they have and the best from what civil servants have. You can't be fish and fowl, and that's the only comment that I make. But we haven't finished our deliberations with the Prison Staff Association.
Okay. Turnquest recently revealed that the prisons bill had been delayed due to consultations with stakeholders, including the Prison Officers Association. Prison officers also disagree with the changes to cigarette distribution for inmates and other changes. Turnquest says that the final draft of the Department of Corrections Act is far from finished. Association President Gregory Archer tells NB12 that his members will not stand for the proposed changes and will continue to oppose the current draft of the legislation. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
In news from the courts, Bahamas Contractors Association President Stephen Wrinkle was today charged with dishonestly consuming energy from the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. The 58-year-old contractor of Eastern Road appeared in court number 5 today. Prosecutors alleged that the energy was illegally consumed between February and March this year while at the Bay Parle building on Parliament Street. His attorney Wayne Monroe asked that Wrinkle be released on his own recognizance, but Magistrate Darren Roll Davis ordered that Wrinkle be released on $1,000 bail with one surety. The matter returns to court for trial on October 17th. Well, 5 more men were today arraigned in a magistrate's court for the recent road traffic scam. 26-year-old Ellie Seraphin of Pinewood Gardens, 27-year-old Jeffrey Wiley of Union Village, 28-year-old Altello Taylor of Sandilands Village Road, 35-year-old Omar Major, and 25-year-old Calpen Road resident Jonas Pierre all appeared before Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez in court number 1 today for possession of forged documents, all found in possession of forged vehicular registration license discs. Major was the only man to enter a guilty plea. He was granted $2,000 bail with one surety. Major will be sentenced on July 8th in court number 10. Jonas Pierre pleaded not guilty to the charge. However, he was not granted bail and remanded to prison until his status in the country was confirmed. He was ordered to return to court tomorrow. Taylor, Wiley, and Seraphin all entered not guilty pleas. Their cases were adjourned to Friday, July 8th at 10 a.m.